Welcome to Wicked Shizuku's Reviews, bringing you a southern perspective on books, movies, music, and much, much more. Stick around for a while, you just might hear something wicked. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Shizuku's Reviews. This is episode 46, a Monday playlist read. So, are you ready for Andrew Jackson? Because that's who we're reading next in his inaugural address. And we shall be jumping into it quickly, and depending on how tired out I get, as this is my third video for today, I might read you a Scottish fairy tale, but if I'm a little too tired, I might knock off just a little bit early. So, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Andrew Jackson, First Inaugural Address, March 4th, 1829. Fellow citizens, about to undertake the arduous duties that I have been appointed to perform, by the chance of a free people, I avail myself of this customary and solemn occasion to express the gratitude which their confidence inspires, and to acknowledge the accountability which my situation enjoins. While the magnitude of their interests convinces me that no thanks can be adequate to the honor they have conferred, it admonishes me that the best return I can make is the zealous dedication of my humble abilities to their service and their good. As the instrument of the federal Constitution, it will devolve on me for a stated period to execute the laws of the United States, to superintend their foreign and their confederate relations, to manage their revenue, to command their forces, and by communications to the legislator, to watch over and to promote their interests generally. And the principles of action by which I shall endeavor to accomplish this circle of duties, it is now proper for me to briefly to explain. In administering the laws of Congress, I shall keep steadily in view the limitations as well as the extent of the executive power, trusting thereby to discharge the functions of my office without transcending its authority. With foreign nations, it will be my study to preserve peace and to cultivate friendship on fair and honorable terms, and in the adjustment of any differences that may exist or arise, to exhibit the forbearance becoming a powerful nation rather than the sensibility belonging to a gallant people. In such measures as I may be called upon to pursue in regard to the rights of the separate states, I hope to be animated by a proper respect for those sovereign members of our Union, taking care not to confound the powers they have reserved to themselves by those they have granted to the Confederacy. The management of the public revenue, that searching operation in all governments, is among the most delicate and important trusts in ours, and it will, of course, demand no inconsiderable share of my official solicitude. Under every aspect in which it can be considered, it would appear that the advantage must be result must result the observance from the observance of a strict and faithful economy. This I shall aim at the more anxiously, both because it will facilitate an extinguishment of the national debt, and the unnecessary duration of which is incompatible with real independence, and because it will counteract that tendency to public and private profligacy which a profuse expenditure of money by the government is but too apt to engineer. Powerful auxiliaries to the attainment of this desirable end are to be found in the regulations provided by the wisdom of Congress for the specific appropriation of public money and the prompt accountability of public officers. With regard to a proper selection of the subjects of imposts with a view to revenue, it would seem to me that the spirit of equity, caution, and compromise in which the Constitution was formed requires that the great interests of agriculture, commerce, and manufacturers should be equally favored, and that perhaps the only exception to this rule should consist in the peculiar encouragement of any products of either of them that may be found essential to our national independence. Internal improvement and the diffusion of knowledge, so far as they can be promoted by the constitutional acts of the federal government, are of high importance, considering standing armies as dangerous of free governments in time of peace. I shall not seek to enlarge our present establishment, nor disregard that salutary lesson of political experience which teaches that the military should be held subordinate to the civil power. The gradual increase of our navy, whose flag has displayed in distant climes our skill in navigation, and our fame in arms. The preservation of our forts, arsenals, and dockyards, and the introduction of progressive improvements in the discipline and science of both branches of our military service are so plainly prescribed by prudence that I should be excused for omitting their mention sooner than for enlarging on their importance. But the bulwark of our defense is the national militia, which in the present state of our intelligence and population must render us invincible, as long as our government is administered for the good of the people, and is regulated by their will, as long as it secures us the rights of person and of property, liberty of conscience and of the press, it will be worth defending. And so long as it is worth defending, a patriotic militia will cover it with an impregnable aegis. Partial injuries and occasional mortifications we may be subjected to, but 1,000,000 of armed freemen possessed of the means of war can never be conquered by a foreign foe. To any just system, therefore, calculated to strengthen this natural safeguard of the country, I shall cheerfully lend all of the aid in my power. It will be my sincere and constant desire to observe toward the Indian tribes within our limits a just and liberal policy, and to give that humane and considerate attention to their rights and their wants which is consistent with the habits of our government and the feelings of our people. The recent demonstration of public sentiment inscribes on a list of executive duties in characters too legible to be overlooked the task of reform, which will require particularly the correction of those abuses that have brought the patronage of the federal government into the conflict with the freedom of elections, and the counteraction of those causes which have disturbed the rightful course of appointment and have placed or continued power in unfaithful or incompetent hands. In the performance of a task thus generally delineated, I shall endeavor to select men whose diligence and talents will ensure, in their respective stations, able and faithful cooperation, depending for the advancement of the public service, more on the integrity and zeal of the public officers than on their numbers. A diffidence, perhaps too just in my own qualifications, will teach me to look with reverence to the examples of public virtue left by my illustrious predecessors, and with veneration to the lights that flow from the mind that founded and the mind that reformed our system. The same diffidence induces me to hope for instruction and aid from the coordinate branches of the government, and for the indulgence and support of my fellow citizens generally, and a firm reliance on the goodness of that power whose providence mercifully protected our national infancy, and has since upheld our liberties in various vicissitudes, encourages me to offer up my ardent supplications that he will continue to make our beloved country the object of his divine care and gracious benediction. And that was Andrew Jackson's first inaugural address. And I will be right back after this short break. And welcome back. So I shall be continuing with the Ovid's um The Art of Love. And we have gotten to Eulogy number 11. He asks Nape, or Nape, to deliver a love letter to her mistress. O thou, who with such happy art dost bind and range thy mistress's hair, thou whom 'twere unjust to place in the ranks of ordinary servants, Nape, as skilful in contriving nocturnal assignations as in conveying missives to my beloved, thou hast often persuaded the hesitating Karina to come to my arms. Thou whose loyalty hath ofttimes saved me in a crisis, take these tablets and deliver them this very morning to my mistress. May thine ingenuity prove triumphant over every obstacle. Thy breast is not made of adamant or steel, nor dost thou carry simplicity to excess. Thou too, methinks, hast felt boy Cupid's darts. Fight, then, and defend the flag neath which we both do march. If she asks thee how I fare, tell her the hopes of spending a night with her keep me alive. For the rest, my passionate hand hath writ it on this waxen tablet. Even as I speak, time fleeth away. Go and choose a moment when she's free and give her these. But see to it that she reads them straight away. Note her eyes, her brow, while she doth read. Her mute expression will inform thee of my fate. As soon as she hath read my words, ask her to indite a long reply. I hate to see blank spaces on the wax. Let her lines be close together. Let her writing fill up the margins, so I may feast my eyes upon her letters. Yet wherefore should she weary herself with writing? Let me read but a single word. Come, and swiftly I will deck my tablets with the laurels of victory, hang them as a votive offering in Venus's temple, and inscribe them thus: Unto Venus doth Ovid consecrate you, faithful ministers of his love, which but a while ago but were but a fragment of worthless maple. And that was the following verse of The Art of Love by Ovid. And if you remember last time we had left off, he was quite upset with his mistress as she was endeavoring to become a lady of the night, so to say. So that was Ovid. So let's see. Next. I'm going to read a short poem from the Scottish fairy tales. What to say to the new moon? New moon, true moon, tell unto me if my love, if my one true love, he will marry me. If he marry me in haste, let me be his bonny face. If he marry me betide, let me see his bonny side. Gin he marry, na me away, ever turn his back and go away. So that was interesting, right? Alright, so I'm getting a little tired, and I suppose everyone else is too. So, if you like this, if you were entertained, if you learned something, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any questions, put them down in the comments, and I shall get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you had a good day. I hope you have a good evening, and sleep well. Good night, everyone.